the car that wasn't on the timetable. There are two sounds that make me honest. A whistle in cold air and wheel flanges crying on a tight curve. I work where both happen. I'm a steward on the Midnight Meridian, a private overnight train that slides the coast like a rumor. My job is to make sleep feel curated. Linens that remember, switches that glow friendly, a bar car that pretends it's Paris. You learn things on a night train. People confess to the dark in motion. My name is Theo. I used to believe love needed station stops. Schedules, times, platforms, proof you can point to. Then I watched my partner, Sienna, step into a car that didn't appear on our timetable, and I understood. Some parts of a life run limited service. We had been together 3 years, a neat run of holidays and shared passwords. She's an event director for a luxury hospitality group, the kind of person who can bend a room's mood with a spreadsheet and good lighting. When she pressed two fingers under my jaw and said, "Say it slower," I learned how to pace desire. We lived near the depot, in an apartment with a long window and a calendar with too many penciled notes. We were busy, which is a kind of devotion until it is. The Midnight Meridian attracts a payload of beautiful trouble. Heiresses whose rings glitter like threats, politicians who prefer corridors to daylight, musicians who hum at the edge of sleep. The public-facing consist is 8 cars, a luggage van, 3 sleeping coaches, a dining car, the bar lounge, a library car, and a generator tail that hums like a cat. On special charters, though, we add a 9th car J. It doesn't get printed. It slides on behind the generator like a secret. When I ask dispatch who paid for it, they answer with a number that starts with too many zeros. Sienna's agency began booking immersive dining on the Meridian last winter. She wore black suits that fit like a plan and high collars that made her look expensive. The first time she brought her clipboards into my domain, I watched every back turn to accommodate her, guests, crew, trouble. She looked over her shoulder and saw me seeing her and smiled like a dare. We were good at the beginning, the kind of good that makes friends say, finally, behind their hands. Then the car J charters started to cluster, and Sienna's stays on board became longer and less debriefed. Her phone learned to live face down. At 1:12 a.m. one Thursday, when we were between coves and the sea sounded like a big animal sleeping, I glanced through the vestibule glass and saw her in the reflection of the coupling, Sienna, hair swept up, mouth set, following a man in a blue overcoat into the darkness behind the generator, where the timetable ends and car J begins. You get used to the choreography of infidelity. It's not original. What shocks is the logistics. Car J has its own keycard reader and staff. Access logs go to a different server. You don't knock on its door, you receive an invitation or you don't. The man in the blue overcoat was Hugo Varin, the venture tyrant whose minimalist turtlenecks sell penance to men who have never apologized. The papers call him disruptive, which is how rich people rename harm. I'd poured him a rye that night. He thanked me without using my name. I told myself useful fictions. Sienna is working. Sienna is being professional in a room that prefers misbehavior. Sienna is bribing a donation with proximity. Still, I noticed the way she returned, a little bright at the edges, a little hollow at the center, the look of a person who stood too close to a fire to warm their hands and scorched a small, important thing. The next run, gossip boarded with us at platform 4. New carriage, Jasper the barman whispered. Glass roof, 2 beds that look like a law you can break with charm. He grinned, a tired man's defense. You seen the guest list. I'm given pillows, not lists. You're also given eyes, he said, and slid a folded manifest across the counter. It wasn't official. Jasper likes to pretend he doesn't have a conscience by doing good in secret. The manifest showed 8 cars, as expected. At the bottom scrawled, plus J host, Varin, perf, s. Perf is industry for performer, sometimes for chef, sometimes for pianist, sometimes for pretty trouble. My throat went dry. We rolled out at 21:03. The Meridian's horn sang the long low long high that makes even disbelievers look up. I did my rounds, midnight teas, earplugs, and lavender sachets, those tiny bottles of water that reassure the anxious. The bar car filled with night birds. Jasper shook things. A violinist in Coach 6 practiced scales quietly like an apology. Hugo Varin held court in the lounge with three men who wore their watches upside down. An old trick for people who like to time how long they dominate a conversation. Sienna appeared near the piano as if conjured by a better writer. She wore a black dress like an argument you expect to win. Her eyes found me. She mouthed after and drew a fingertip across her wrist like a promise. It used to be our sign. Now it felt like a story she was quoting. At 23:40, while we glided along a cliff that pretended to care for trains, I saw her again. Sienna and Hugo stepping through the gangway behind the generator, past the red coupler is live signs. Into car J he touched the small of her back, not possessive, not gentlemanly. Calculated. A hand placed where the camera would see it if there was a camera. There wasn't one I could access. I stared at the black shape of the car and listened to the coupler groan. Trains make consent noises. It's confusing. I worked until bodies found their berths. I did the 0100 sweep. I returned to the vestibule window and caught a reflection I didn't want. In the glass, dim and honest, Sienna's face near a window inside car J, her head tipped back, her mouth parted, the kind of posture you only hold when you're choosing. Then the reflection shifted. A curtain fell. I stood alone with the feather of my breath. If you decide to confront someone, night is the worst time. Every word scrapes. I decided to wait for morning when coffee makes people kinder to themselves. At 0610, just past the long viaduct, Sienna walked into the staff galley, hair in a rough knot, cheeks clean. She poured coffee like a person who knows where things live. She saw me and didn't flinch. "Say it," she said. "Say what?" I asked, because cowardice wears questions. "The thing you practiced in the corridor. I saw you in J." She nodded once. "I was in J." "With him?" "Yes," she said. "With him in a room where money thinks it invented intimacy." "Did it?" "No," she said, voice soft, tired. "But it rented the lights." "You could have told me," I said. "I should have," she said. She looked down at her hand and flexed it. "He wants me to produce a traveling series. Private dinners where philanthropists pretend flavor is ethics." He was making the case. I was testing whether attention is a currency I want to accept. She looked up, eager to give me the worst. "He kissed me once. I let it land and didn't return it. I wanted to know if I was for sale. I'm not." "Is this the part where I say thank you?" I asked. "This is the part where you decide whether my honesty arrived on time," she said. "I'm sorry I made you watch the late train." "Why him?" I asked. "You don't even like the way he stands." "He stands like winning is posture," she said. "I wanted to see what he wanted when I didn't perform. He wanted the same thing. The man is consistent." "You wanted to see you," I said, and the sentence sat between us like a clean plate. She nodded. "I wanted to see whether the version of me he sees is an upgrade or a costume. It's a good costume. It itches." We were quiet. The galley hummed. Outside, morning laid a white stripe on the sea. She came around the counter, gripped my shirt, and kissed me hard, like a person who doesn't request permission but assumes it's been granted. I pulled back because anger and arousal are cousins and I hate them for it. "Don't apologize with your mouth," I said. "Not yet." Come to 13, she said, eyes a little feral. You need to see what I was in. 13 is a legend, I said. Exactly, she said. It's not on the map. Car J, formerly numbered 13 internally, was cold perfect. A corridor with glass ribs, a salon with 2 couches low as luck, a dining nook set for 2 with long-stemmed glasses thin enough to break if you look at them wrong. The bedroom at the rear had a skylight that sliced the sky like cake. On the dressing table, a small black velvet tray held a watch, a keycard, a ring. The ring was not Sienna. It's his traveling altar, she said. He lays out what he believes in first. You left your beliefs where? In the corridor, she said wryly. I kept the good ones with me. I walked circles in the salon, touching nothing. On the wall hung a map with no stations marked, only line and curve and a red pin that moved as we moved. Under it, a drawer. My hands disobeyed me. I opened it. Inside lay a sheaf of non-disclosure agreements and 3 printed menus titled Curated Proximity, with Sienna's name in the footer like a watermark. The image beside the text, a woman and a man at a small table, her hand almost touching his, a photograph calibrated to suggest an erotic that stays plausible deniable. It wasn't a draft, it was a product. She read my face. I didn't sign, she said. He printed the ones for when you do. We heard footsteps and low voices in the vestibule. Sienna closed the drawer, smoothed the edge of the map, and the door opened. Hugo Varin had the courtesy to look merely curious, not triumphant. You found the good light, he said. Isn't it kind here? It's something, I said. Sienna didn't offer him a name for me. She stood between us like a conductor deciding whether to let brass interrupt strings. Hugo looked at her collarbone in a way calibrated to be missed. Then he looked at me the way men look at furniture. Can it hold weight? Theo, he said, you keep this train on time. I admire people who manage systems that prefer to fail. This one runs, I said. He smiled, a small economy of expression. Sienna, he said, ignoring me, the Naples cohort confirmed. Venice is a question of rooms. We'll need you at both. I won't be in Naples, she said. He tipped his head. Ah, he said, your steward has concerns. He gestured at the map. This is infrastructure. Don't confuse it with feeling. Don't confuse your appetite with an invitation, I said. Men like me don't need invitations, he said. It wasn't bragging, it sounded like weather. That's the problem, Sienna said. You think doors open because you arrived. I prefer handles that turn because I want them to. He watched her, truly watched, as if she had just completed a trick he usually reserves for himself. Then he nodded once. I'll have my people strike your name from the deck, he said, the word deck making me briefly rethink my career choice. You'll regret it when you're bored. I'll risk boredom, she said. He looked at me like a man who buys companies when they disappoint him and then takes a long lunch. Congratulations, he said. You want a person who tells the truth eventually. I'll take eventually over never, I said. He left without slamming a door. No villainy, just efficiency. Sienna breathed out like the train had slowed. We stood under the skylight. A cloud crossed, and for a second the room dimmed the way my chest did the night before. You could still say no to me, she said. You haven't asked me anything, I said. I'm asking now, she said. Choose me, not the me that proves I'm desired. The one that's terrible at small talk before coffee and amazing at remembering other people's birthdays, and who says later when she means not now but yes. I want you to like that woman more than you hate your fear. I do, I said, and the truth arrived with relief and a mean little pain. We'll have to keep not being saints, she said. We'll be punctual instead, I said. She laughed short bright. Dirty talk, she said. We kissed there, not slow. My hand found the back of her neck the way it always does, the way it will when we're 80 if the tracks hold. She pressed against me and made a sound that rewired the night before. I pressed her to the wall where the map hung and thought about how it matters where you pin your red dot. We stopped before we made a memory that would be worse or better for happening in someone else's theater. Sometimes restraint is the only proof you can afford. By the time we reached the terminal, the deck had changed. Press releases that made Naples look less inevitable, rumors about a chef who couldn't be secured. Car J uncoupled before the platform, no witness. I watched it roll into the dedicated siding, the secret yard where expensive mistakes sleep. Sienna came home with me instead of to her agency. We sat on the floor because chairs felt too official. We ate toast because we were equal to bread but not cooking. We drew a map of rules on a napkin, no rooms with non-disclosure clauses masquerading as dessert courses, no anonymous invites after midnight. If either of us almost falls, the other hears it before gravity does. We argued. We kissed. We argued better. I slept at last with my ear on her back like a stowaway. The Meridian still runs. I still love the bar car at 02:10 when the pianist is done pretending to be Chopin and starts being himself. Sometimes I see Hugo's name on a manifest and my stomach misbehaves and then behaves. Sienna still works the runs, but now she uses the library car as her office, where the lamps are honest and the books smell like better plots. Car J appears less often. When it does, its curtain stays drawn if I walk past the vestibule window. I like to think the room learned something. Rooms never do. People sometimes do. There's a rule among rail people. Always know your emergency brake, but don't touch it unless you're ready to answer for the whole train stopping. I held that lever all night and didn't pull. I'm not proud or ashamed. I'm grateful. The next morning, when Sienna kissed me in the galley with coffee on her breath and said, "On time," I believed her because everything in the car agreed. We take the Meridian on our nights off now once a month as passengers. We book a small compartment with a window that doesn't care how important you are. We undress between stations and make love with the rhythm under us, and sometimes she bites my shoulder at the exact moment a flange sings. It feels like precision. When dawn arrives, a gray ribbon over the sea, we lie awake and listen to the brakes feather, and I think, not every car needs a timetable. Some only need two people deciding where to get off and where to keep going.